Alright, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be talking about what PvP is going to be like in Elden Ring. Everything we know about it, everything I want it to be, and some pretty major concerns I have since we have a lot of unanswered questions. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to everybody that came out to the stream yesterday. We've been running Soul Level 120 fight clubs in Dark Souls 3 on PlayStation, so if you like to PvP, definitely come out to the next stream. We've been running those every few days, and man, some of you guys are too good at this game. And as always, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that to stay up to date with all the latest Elden Ring news, and for some other cool Souls videos that I think you'll enjoy. Now let's talk about PvP. PvP in Elden Ring is kind of an enigma right now. We know virtually nothing about it, aside from two very brief quotes from Miyazaki. When asked if there will still be PvP in Elden Ring, he said, yes, there will be invasions and let's say optional PvP. Throughout development, we tried very hard to make this aspect of the game as less annoying for both players as possible. We are still working on it. He was then asked about the covenants, likely the PvP covenants. And Miyazaki said, in this sense, Elden Ring is similar to Demon Souls. The conditions for participation in multiplayer are minimum, you just need to leave a sign. The game has a bit of a covenant twist, but the multiplayer tied ones just add a touch of flavor to the multiplayer. They add their own characteristics like roleplaying. It will not become a mandatory requirement for multiplayer. So we have a little bit to unpack in those quotes. The first thing I want to touch on is that he said there will be both invasions and optional PvP. So yes, invasions are confirmed, but the optional PvP part is very interesting, and I think that could mean a couple things. Now, when he says optional PvP, my mind goes straight to an arena. And if you guys remember, all of the Dark Souls have had arenas in them where you can go and do a one-on-one PvP or some other kind of format. However, the only one to have an arena in the main game was Dark Souls 2. And honestly, I don't think that's what he's referring to. I think the most likely scenario is that when he says optional PvP, he's talking about the red summon signs. And the reason I think that is because of the quote afterwards when he talks about it not being tied to a covenant. If you guys remember, back in Dark Souls 1, you had to be part of the Dark Wraith covenant in order to invade people. And I believe that's what he's referring to because, as far as I can remember, you've never had to be part of a covenant in order to leave a white sign soapstone. And that would make sense with what he's saying about the covenants just being there to spice up the multiplayer. And I find it really interesting that he chose to compare it to Demon Souls, because there are no covenants in Demon Souls. From what he's saying, it sounds like it'd be more close to Dark Souls 3. So I'm not sure if he just misspoke there, or what the case is, but we have more to dive into and some other stuff. So in multiplayer, we know that we're not going to be able to use our mounts. However, we do know that we can summon and co-op in the open field. And that raises a few questions for me. How far away from the host are we going to be able to get? And if invasions are going to be allowed in the open field, what are the limits going to be? Because say we invade somebody in the open field, theoretically with what we know right now, it's possible that they could just take off and run to the other side of the world. And I really don't think that's going to happen. For a few reasons. Number one, it's not going to be able to load all that. That would take such a big toll on past-gen consoles, and that does not sound like a less annoying version of PvP to me. So I'm really interested to see how they make the changes to that and how they accommodate the multiplayer for the open world. The next thing I want to talk about is spirit summoning, and how that's going to work in multiplayer. If you guys don't know, spirit summoning is going to be confined to areas that contain these charged obelisks, and we see a couple of them in the trailer. We can see the first one in this Gru boss fight, and it has that blue charge on it, and we can see that the player has not summoned any spirits yet. The next time we can see them using the cube to summon two spirits and the obelisk has lost its charge. Now we can see that these are going to be both in the open world and the boss fights. Now guys, these obelisks are just for the spirits. This is not for multiplayer. I know a lot of people are saying that they might be mutually exclusive and that the charge on the obelisk is going to go away when we summon a phantom, but that's clearly not the case for a few reasons. Number one, we know that summoning is going to work with the typical summon sign and not the cube, and we can see that the obelisk was placed inside the boss fight, and we know summoning signs are typically placed outside the boss fight. So I think those are going to be two different systems entirely. Now what I'm interested in is how this is going to work in PvP. We still don't know 100% if we are going to be able to invade in the open field, and we know that typically in Dark Souls when we invade somebody we can't access boss rooms. So I don't know if the spirit summoning is going to be part of PvP or not, but I really hope it is, because I want to be having Pokemon battles in Elden Ring. And I think it would be really cool if this was also tied to a covenant in some way, because we know we're able to upgrade these spirits and it'll reward us for sticking with the same spirit over a period of time, just like in Pokemon. And I think it would just be really cool to have a spirit only build. Imagine if there's a certain attribute like attunement or something that allows you to summon a lot of different spirits, and you go to invade somebody and they've spec'd into that so much that they have their own little army but they can't fight themselves. I just think that would be so cool, and it would be such a shame if we can't do that in PvP. Now I want to address one of my major concerns, and this is mainly coming from the lack of information that we have about PvP. I'm really scared it's just going to be another Dark Souls 3, and I really hope this doesn't happen, but I think there's a chance that it will. And that is that invasions are locked to the legacy dungeons, that spirits are unable to be summoned in an invasion, at least for the invader, and that the matchmaking is going to be too narrow. Now, this is exactly what killed Demon Souls on PS5. In order to invade somebody in Demon Souls, they have to be in their human form, but everybody knows that if you're in your human form in Demon Souls, it runs a much higher risk than reward. And so nobody plays in their human form, and thus there's nobody to invade, and that's why you can't find anybody on Demon Souls anymore. And even with the Dark Souls games, I think with Elden Ring, it's due time to broaden the matchmaking system. We shouldn't have to be at a certain meta level in order to find people to invade. I mean, think about it, you have to be within 5 levels of somebody and have the same rarity of weapons found in order to invade them. And while this might not be a problem right when the game comes out and the player base is at its peak, after a while when the players that have beaten the main story and quit the game aren't playing anymore, it really ruins the game for the more PvP oriented players. Invasions are a crucial part of the game, and I know there's a lot of people out there that hate being invaded, but it's just part of it. I think broadening the matchmaking would only make the experience better for everybody, and the people that hate it so much could just play offline. I don't think it's too much of an elitist mindset to assume that if they want to summon phantoms, they should also be able to be invaded. I know that's been the case for every other Souls game, but it sounds like co-op is going to be a much more central theme in Elden Ring, and I really hope PvP is getting that same treatment. I also really hope that Covenants are going to get a well-needed update. We can't really break down anything from what he said, but I just hope that it's going to play more of a role than just changing the color of your phantom. And with a max of 4 players in a world, a system like the Blue Sentinels or Dark Moons isn't going to work as well. It's going to significantly reduce the amount of worlds that you're going to be able to access, so I'm interested to see what new changes they're going to make to the Covenant system and how they're going to make it work with only a 4-player max. But anyways guys, these are just my thoughts and predictions on how PvP is going to work in Elden Ring, based on the very tiny amount of information that we have so far. Now there's a good chance we see more Elden Ring gameplay at Gamescom. We know Bandai is confirmed for that, and Elden Ring is their only game that they haven't shown demo gameplay of. And as for a network test for Elden Ring, we know those always come after the gameplay show and take place many months before the actual release for their new games, not the remasters but the new games. So here's my timeline for what I think is going to happen in the next few months. Now they could totally do something different, but this is just based off their past trends. I think we do get gameplay at Gamescom, and then we get a network test around the September-October time, just because that would give them enough time to work out all the kinks before the actual release. But anyways guys, that's going to pretty much do it for the video. I hope you're excited for Gamescom as much as I am. I'll be doing my best to keep you guys updated, and I will be streaming it. Hopefully we get some more signs that it's going to be there soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like on it and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll catch you in the next one.